Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Lorin. Lorin says, let's see, I just need to write this out and not burden my husband with my annoying worries. She says, I wrote to you before about my fear of anarchy and things that are really happening in the world. With what happened last week in Washington and a new strain of COVID in South Africa, I really lose sight of the idea of being okay. I mean, yes, right now I might be okay, but that could change in a. I know life is always uncertain, but I guess I haven't figured out yet how to sit comfortably in the uncertainty. What does a centered person having these how does a centered person, sorry, have these thoughts and not feel scared? I don't get it yet, but I keep trying. So I really appreciate this question, Lauren. I know a lot of this is on a lot of people's minds, and for sure we feel rattled at times, even if we sometimes feel centered, whatever that means. Sometimes we feel like we're just in life and we're okay and we'll take things as they come. When big things happen out in the world that are scary and dangerous and all of that, it's easy to kind of feel like we've lost our grounding a little bit. Feel like we've lost that sense of okayness and that sense of being centered. Um, a few things really pop out at me in your question. So you say, I lose sight of the idea of being okay. So you're at home, you're on the internet, you're watching things happen, right? Out in the world, you're hearing, like you say, about COVID and events and all kinds of stuff. And I really love it. I just want to point this out to you so you can see it, how you say this, because it's so brilliant and it's showing so much wisdom coming through you. I really lose sight of the idea of being okay. I think that's exactly what we lose sight of. That's more accurate than you maybe even realize. That's what creates our suffering is we lose sight of the idea of being okay. So you, Lauren, me, most of us, no matter what we've been through in the last week, all of us, I could say, no matter what we've been through in the last week, there is okayness there. Like we are okay by nature, by design. There isn't now just don't take my word for it, but just see if you can sense how there is an essential okayness, if you want to put it that way, moving through all of us. Every moment of our lives, it's there. But we lose sight of the idea of it. And the idea of it is a lot of thinking. So nothing may have happened in your life, Lauren, in the last week, let's say, but you had an idea. Your mind was on certain things. It was on, oh, it's just a normal Wednesday and just doing this today, and here I am, and I'm all good. Like your mind was just wherever your mind was. And that gave you the idea and the sense and the feeling of being okay. Now, that's not like some giant truth. That's just, that was your thought created experience, and then something happens, or we see something out in the world, or something jars us or scares us, and our thought created experience takes a turn. We don't take a turn. Life didn't change. Life, like, I mean, like, the basic essence of life didn't change. We're still okay. We're still healthy and wise and made of love and feel an experience move through us. But our minds took a turn. Our minds got pulled over here to all kinds of scary events and scary pictures and stories. And then our mind takes that and creates, as you said, Lauren, an idea of being okay. And now that idea, whereas a couple minutes prior it was, oh, no big deal, I'm okay, or it was nothing, that wasn't even on your mind. Now your mind is creating an idea of just what you say here. I might be okay now, but in any minute, it could all change. And I just want you to see this is so huge. This is a huge opportunity for you to see this in a deeper way. That isn't because of life. None of that has anything to do with life. None of that has anything to do with events out in the world. What changed was your mind, your idea, as you say, your idea of okay. And this is the human experience. So it does change for us all the time. Our idea of being okay doesn't look like an idea because our mind is so smart. It's so good. It brings in those images that we see in the news. It brings in the scary stories. It looks at all the feelings going on in your body and takes those as more evidence of, oh my gosh, there's a problem, or there's an impending problem, or at any moment there could be a problem. And that looks like something to get all worked up about, that is showing us something about our actual okayness or our actual safety. But our mind is just so, so, so good at its creations. And that doesn't make them true. It doesn't make them real. So I just think that was so brilliant how I'm sure you didn't think about it. I'm sure, I'm reading into the words big time, but I love how we answer our own questions, and we help ourselves sometimes by saying this stuff. And it truly is exactly what you said. It's that idea of being okay that got a little shaken because your mind went off and created a different idea, but that says nothing about your actual okayness. So you say, I know life is always uncertain, but I guess I haven't figured out yet how to sit comfortably in the uncertainty. And again, it's like, it's not that life is uncertain that creates any kind of problem. It always has been, it always will be. Life is uncertain. You've had moments, Lorin, of probably this week, maybe today, of peace, of just not thinking about so much, about not being all caught up in me and my safety and all of that kind of stuff, just feeling like you're here in life. And that had nothing to do with anything being certain. When your mind isn't thinking, oh no, life is uncertain, we sit comfortably in uncertainty. That's just how it works. It's our nature, it's default. We don't need to make it happen. We sit comfortably in uncertainty because uncertainty is life, it's always there. And so that's natural. And you do it all the time, Lorin. It's just that when your mind goes off and starts thinking, oh no, it's uncertain and I'm okay now, but I might not be in a minute, then we get all caught up and we feel horrible and unsafe. And then we pin it on the uncertainty. We say, see, it's because all that stuff happening out in the world. It's because I don't know what's going to happen next week. That's why I don't feel safe. Well, that's not why. It's because your mind just created a really vivid story with pictures and details and memories and special effects shooting off in your body, adrenaline and anxiety and all of that. And that's that experience, that human, normal human experience, is what freaks us out, is what has us feeling unsafe. And then our mind just pins it on out there. If this would change, I could be okay. If he would change or she would change, I'll be okay. It's never that. Never has been, never will be. It's when your mind settles down that you feel okay. And the good news is, Lorin, we're okay anyway. We just don't know it. And that's a bit of a consolation prize because it's a lot nicer and it's a lot more comfortable in the human experience realm of things to know we're okay. It's great to know you're okay. It's great to be okay, and it kind of sucks to be okay and not realize that you are, because that's when we suffer. But it's not even a question of being okay. It's not even a question of any of that. It's a question of where our mind is and what we're seeing about that in any given moment. So could a horrible thing happen to any of us in any moment? Of course. From the moment we've been born into this physical planet, something bad can happen. But I want you to see that it's our mind that thinks about that and gives us the entire experience of it. Our mind says, you're okay now, but just wait. Our mind does all that. In truth, we've been through all kinds of things. We've felt all kinds of feelings, some of them horrible, some of them wonderful, and we're okay. We've been okay in all of it. It's all part of life. We've moved through everything we've ever felt. It's never a question of actual okayness, ever. It's just a question of getting caught up in the ideas and images and concepts that our mind is tossing out. So I really appreciate this question. Again, it's super timely. I know a lot of people are saying that they're I'm just hearing from so many people that are feeling like their anxiety is a little extra high in the last week or so, not even the last 4 or 5 days or so, especially. Um, and it's so human and normal and tempting to look out there and say that that's the reason, because these things are happening, that's the reason. But I know that you're onto it, or you wouldn't be asking me your question. You wouldn't be here in this conversation. So let's all of us look inside, look a little deeper to what's really going on, and see that our okayness hasn't changed in the last 4 or 5 days. It won't change instantly, but our human experience will, and it does all the time. So thank you so much, Lorin, for being here. Anyone, send any questions you have around any of this, the bigger understanding of how our experience works. If you're struggling in particular with something, a habit, anxiety, anything you're up against, please send your questions to askamy@thelittleschoolofbigchange.com, and I'll be here every Monday to speak to them. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good week.